Gonna do if we were in class today. So I did post notes on your Valentine window clings. Unfortunately, there were only like 3 people whose files were correct. So you can, if you go to the classroom, all right, you're probably thinking, I don't have my files. But if you go to the classroom and go to your assignment, you can download your PDF and then check out your and open that in Illustrator. Oh, I'm in the wrong class here. So, and I'll just show you kind of, for one example of somebody's, if you did it correctly, your grade is 100 in there most likely. But, for a lot of you, I did go in there and like saying no swatch is made. So I'm just going to open up Brandon's and I'll show everybody how you can check this. All right, so I actually used the RIP software yesterday, but you can use Illustrator to check your work. So if I go here, and if I open with Illustrator, all right, so what you want to do again is, number one, I'm looking in here, Brandon, you don't have any swatches created. All right, so we should have on this box, actually, so we should be seeing that the outer box, again, is your perf cut contour. And this line, which I know I'm opening a preview, I guess you're at home, you guys have a newer version of Illustrator than I do. So when you open the PDF, if you can't really isolate and get to those lines, which I don't think you're going to have a problem with doing that because you guys have the newer version. But what I just did was said release mask on the quick actions, and then it kind of makes a box over it that you can just delete. But now I can go in here and I can see that there was no swatch in there. Now I guess there is a possibility too with versions that maybe there's some issues there. Brandon, do you know, is this the way your swatch palette looks if you open your original file in Illustrator?
No, it actually has different colors, but yeah, mine's a little bit set up differently.
All right, so definitely check that and we'll work on that. I want to get these correct. I'm going to take a look at one more of somebody that I know is in class because I know that it would have been done with the same version of Illustrator that we're using. So if I go, Maggie, I'm just going to pull yours up here. If I'm going to download yours and kind of show you the same thing happens. All right, so come on. All right, so if I open this with Illustrator, it's a full PDF, but again, looking at that line, all right, so that one's correct. But then this one, Maggie, it's not, and I think if I remember correctly, you have like a lot of lines that were assigned that stroke. So
Yeah, I used to about it yesterday.
yeah, so we probably want to ungroup that, right? And then now if we select that one, all right, so maybe since it was grouped, it was causing a problem there, but really just that one line by itself, that outer one, which it kind of looks like I'm getting this one too in there. So sometimes you can use the direct selection also, and that will isolate it. So we'll work with them, I guess, a little more tomorrow. If you guys, if it's an easy fix for you, if you think you can get it, please resave it and unsubmit your project and then resubmit that. That way tomorrow we can print those out, and then you'd be able to have that to take home for the weekend for Valentine's Day. All right. So I know this is all kind of new stuff and it can get kind of technical, and sometimes the version histories and things like that, it can cause some issues, but I would like to get those finished or fixed. All right, so that's the first thing I want to talk about. All right, was those Valentine's clings. The second thing, I do want to still move forward with the quiz tomorrow. I kind of was on the fence a little bit based on what I saw yesterday, but hopefully we can work this out, and maybe I'll even curve the quiz with some aspects. But if we look, this is basically what the quiz is going to be. I'm going to give you this flame logo, and you have to basically create this from shapes. I'll give you the size and the fonts. All right. So, and then you'll have to make 2 artboards, and then this will be your final with your offset path. So if you wanted to kind of get some practice working on this today, also kind of just looking at your tools, and I kind of put this word sample over it because since we know how to image trace, if I just had the whole thing, I don't know if anybody was thinking, and I don't know, maybe this is teacher's mind, and you could just image trace the whole thing and turn it in. So I just thought I put kind of like a watermark over it. All right. How many people think that they could do this quiz? Like, how hard would that be? Actually, maybe let's try something a little different here today too. What I can do. Actually, no, I'm not ready for that. Maybe I'll try that with PM. Just kind of like where do we think that might be problematic, or who thinks that they could, or maybe tell me you couldn't do, or things that maybe you would need a little refresher on. Any feedback on the ability to complete this quiz tomorrow?
I might need a refresher. I don't remember a lot.
Okay. So which parts, Jessica, would you think would be you would need a review on?
Pretty much everything. I don't know my way around Illustrator.
Okay. Well, let's take a quick look at that then, and then we'll talk about, because the only thing we're going to talk about after this is just working on your own logos today. And that's really my point of doing this also, is to have you guys have the tools to make your own logos, all right? So, this is going to be attached, this image, so you just do File, Place, right, to bring in an image. I forget where I put it in here. Actually, I think it's in here. Yeah, so that'll be attached. You would just place that, right? That would be your image. To get this to be modifiable or editable, because if you notice the yellow is taken out, we would just, excuse me, do our image trace. And I'm going to have all these directions in here too. So, I thought about releasing the quiz today and allowing you guys to work on that also. All right, so, this is going to be all the sizes that are in there. But we select image trace, we do that high fidelity, we expand it, we ungroup it, and then you can delete the white there. You can we can change that to white. Remember, you have your stroke and your fill. So that would kind of be getting that correct. And then it's really just using your shape tools. Oh, the one thing I want to talk about today also, which we didn't really talk about with color too much, but when we sometimes, or actually a lot of times, screens display colors differently. So I wanted to talk about what's called a hexadecimal value. So when we double click on the fill color, we see CMYK, which would be press colors. We have RGB, which is kind of screen. I have never really used HSB, and if anybody's interested, we could talk about that, but it's really, I'm sure, going to just bore people. But down here is what's called a hexadecimal value, because there are 6 digits to it. All right. So what I'm going to give you tomorrow is an exact code, or in the quiz, it's going to say color is FS8922. So if I was to go in here and just copy that, and then come back to my shape here, and then go back to my fill color, I can just paste that in. And, oh, that was the orange color. All right, but that would put that in there and make that to be that shape. All right, so that's, so it's just our shape tools, which then we could talk about using a circle, which that one is just white with a black stroke. All right, you'd use your property inspector over here to dial in the exact sizes, remember, right? So that's going to be what to do with that. The other thing I wanted to talk about, which I don't think we did, so this white circle is on top of that fire. We could go to our layers palette, and you won't have as many because I have all this other stuff created. But and you could do layer ordering and move things up and down. But what's easier is just to right click, say arrange, and then send to back. All right, so that's going to put that shape there, which actually then I guess we'd want this to be sent to the back instead of that. All right, so now that circle overlaps that. All right, so there is kind of your basic idea with the shapes. This is just normal text, right? So we would type that in. I am going to ask that you use specific fonts and sizes. So for that, you want your character tab or palette open, right, which is here. If you don't see it, again, window, type, character. All right, that's how you would pull that open. Text on path. Remember, if we directly type on this circle, it's going to erase it, right? So we take this circle, make a copy, you can Control C or Control V, or drag that over. And then if we click on here, we would have that. And then for positioning, you use the direct selection, grab this little thing sticking out, and then you can move it inside and around there. All right, and then that shape will kind of line up with this one. All right, so there's up to that part, and then really all we have is our cut line. So for that, what we would do for that is make another copy of this, kind of like we did with the exercise the other day. So we had that worksheet. I'm going to delete the text, and then we're going to shape build. I only deleted the text just because it's going to make a little more or a little less work when we're selecting for shape building. All right, so remember, shape building, you select all, choose the tool, and then just click and drag through. All right, and we have a couple more things here. You have to kind of keep scribbling around, and you'll clear up all that stuff. All right, and then to get it to be offset, you can look in your property inspector, you see offset path. If you don't see that, you can always go to path and offset. And so, and then we would just reverse the fill and the stroke. All right, so that's kind of the art creation. And then remember, for your swatches, you're going to select, like, so this is our cut line. We want to make sure that we have our stroke color selected, because if we don't, I'm just looking for my swatches here. Window swatches. Oh, duh. Sometimes I am blind. All right, if we try to make a new swatch with the fill color in the front, it's going to be grayed out. So we pull it to the front just by clicking on it. Now we can do a new swatch. So this is going to be our cut contour. It is a spot color, and that's all we need to do. So I already have it applied, so that's going to be this one. All right. So, and then you would just make another swatch for the outside one, which is different. That is going to be your perf cut contour. All right. In the end, I do want you to take a screenshot of your swatch panel too. So this is actually an image that's placed in there. So remember, on a PC, go to the Windows button, type in snip, and it will open up this little program here, which I'm going to pull on the screen, right? So then we do new, and you would take a picture, and then edit, copy, edit, paste. I'm not going to have a duplicate one in there. So there's your screenshot. And then I'm just going to have you save as a PDF all files together. So file, save as, and just change your type to PDF, and you can do all. All right. So there's pretty much how to do the quiz tomorrow. All right. Which You know, part of me says you guys should be able to do it on your own now, but at the same time, I realize that I've been doing this a lot longer. It's definitely, I'm sure, a lot more comfortable for me, but this would kind of give you a run through of that and hopefully help you out with that. So I'll allow you to use this video tomorrow, all right, if you guys want to watch through it and do it. Does that help, J-Ro?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay, sure. All right. Okay, so that is kind of the quiz review, going over all those things we've done, which, you know, we built up to that stuff during the week through the different lessons. So that's just really a compilation of all we've been doing. So you can review that today. Maybe, you know what, I'll even post that quiz to the, no, you know what, I'm not going to post it. I hate to say this, but I would hate to have it there and then you guys just share files and then you turn them in tomorrow. You can practice it, kind of get the general idea, and then if you go back, you can change sizes. All right, but I mean, I say these things because I'm aware that what can happen, but really it's for your own benefit to get practice at it. All right, so don't cheat yourself. Go through it. If you have questions, ask me. All right, and look at the videos because it's just going to improve your skills and make it a lot easier to make your logo. So, you know, I know sometimes we want to get through it and get done, but it is going to help you out in the end. All right, so today I would like you to be working on your logos. All right, so with that, I'll just go. I didn't post the assignment, but I think I have it pretty much done, so I thought I would discuss it with you. Here's what we're going to be looking at, all right? So I try to keep it pretty generic. You know, name your document, company logo. You're going to have 2 artboards in the end. The first one for all your 5 versions should be 8.5 by 11. Required text, you just need to have your company logo. If you put type on a path, I'll give you an extra 5 points. All right. I didn't want to make it required because then that could change your designs. So therefore, if you do it, that's extra credit. As I did mention, I do want to see 5 different logos. They should all be the same size though, symmetrically placed, image traced or using drawn shapes, pen or pencil, and then extra 5 points if you use textures. All right, so here's what I started working on with that. So just to kind of see how that plays out. For today, I'd like to see at least 2 of them in a pretty close to finished version, right? So, you know, I went through these 2 based on this one. I started working with this. I don't know if I'm a big fan of the spiraling inside of there. I think I'm going to try to break up this big D to kind of have that kind of implied rotation going around that. So I am still working with this logo, but I'm going to have some variations of it, I guess, here. And then I thought this one would be kind of easy to do, so I made this kind of film strip. If you find images, you can image trace them. But, you know, I just started with a rectangle. I made with that's black. I used a couple more white ones on the side. I put the D over it. And then I used actually what's called the knife tool to kind of trim this off. So, I don't know, just if anybody wants to do something like that, what all you would do is make your shape, all right? And then with the eraser tool, you should have the knife tool. If it's not with that, you can always click the 3 dots, and any toolbar item that's not in there, you just kind of click it and drag it into your toolbar. All right. But the knife tool just works by, you can just kind of draw a line through it, and it separates it. So it's that simple if you want something that's a little more, as we would say, organic, all right? Not really such a symmetrical shape. And you don't want to mess around with the pen tool because I know that that can be kind of frustrating sometimes. All right, this is what it's going to, if I was going to choose this one, this is what it'll look like in the end with my cutting line around there. But we can kind of get back to that. And I'm just trying to show you some of what the end result would look like. So I guess, and I did say, so your second artboard I want to be 6 by 6. You have your cutting box, which is a specific size. You have your spot color for that swatch, and then your final logo fits inside there. And then you should have the line around your shape, which would actually be like your kind of die cut there around your sticker. Any questions on the design aspect of the project? All right, hopefully that allows for creativity and flexibility of design. To turn it in, a little bit, a couple steps here. So we're going to have a PDF like we did with the practice, 2 separate pages. One of them is going to be your ideas, so that would be kind of this page, and then the other would be your final. All right, so, and then that way, as we're talking about working with the printer, I'll be able to isolate that and send that, and I'm not going to have to work with the file too much to separate. I also do want your Illustrator file for this. That's your AI. All right, if you looked at the extension of your files, that's what it makes. Vocabulary. All right, we're adding a little bit extra to this. So as a private comment, so when you guys turn it in, you have your comment area on the bottom. I want you to define what an offset path is, the artboard, and image tracing. All right, so you'll just each type that on the end, and then in into this Google Current, I want you to put the JPEG of both pages and from your planning. That way we can see kind of what your original ideas were, and you know, how you narrowed that down, how it played into your design, and your final idea. All right, so we don't need, so with that, you have to make a JPEG. All right, so to create a JPEG in Illustrator, you're going to go to File, Export. So it's not Save As, we're going to say Export As, and you have an option here for JPEG. All right, and if you do artboards, what it will do is make a separate JPEG out of each artboard. All right, so for today, that's what you're going to need to do, which actually you may only have one artboard today, so that's probably not going to come into play as much, but that's what you'll do to turn in your summary today, and then therefore you're going to be doing that when we present these in our gallery. And then with that, you're going to say, why did you choose your final logo? Did your ideas change from the original plan? All right, and just before I forget about that too, you know, I thought we can download this as a JPEG, so you can do that to convert your planning into a JPEG, or you could just do a screenshot of it. So either one of those will work to be able to turn that in. All right, so let's see, where am I in my thought process? All right, so actually that's pretty much it. So for today, you can kind of, I would strongly suggest like kind of going over the quiz things. If you have questions, you can ask, and do them as a class comment, because other people will probably have the same thoughts. Same thing with your Valentine clings, or if you want to work on that, or wait for that tomorrow, we can work on that in class and maybe look at your files a little more closely. But if you think you can change that and fix that, maybe I'll even give you extra credit today for getting your Valentine cling all set up and ready to go. And then I do want everybody to share today their progress. All right, so either on Twitter or Currents, make a JPEG showing at least 2 of your designs kind of set up in Illustrator. All right, we need 5 in the end, so I think 2 today should be reasonable in, you know, say an hour. All right, we're kind of getting to 8:20 now, so you know, maybe you work on this for an hour, and who knows, you kind of get going, and maybe you'll keep going with the rest of them.